We continue now at the top of Daf Chaf Tes Amud Beis in Maseches Shabbos. This is Shabbos Daf 29b. The Gemara here is in the middle of explaining a machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yoshua, and Rabbi Kiva, and we are ultimately going to say that the machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva here is the same as the machlokes in our Mishnah regarding when you have a small piece of fabric, whether it remains tameh, it's considered like a keli, or whether it does not contract any tumah. So the Gemara here explains, Hinichu b'kufsa. Let's say I had this piece of fabric. Again, this is a piece of fabric that you used for something which was really unimportant. So if you place it in a kufsa, you place it in a box, a chashav area. Rashi says, "Hinichu b'kufsa gali daite de chashav le." Then he's showing that this fabric is important to him. Divrei called tameh. Everybody agrees it's tameh. So what are they all arguing about? Lo nechliku ela shetalo b'magud o shehinichu la'achorei hadelis. They're arguing if a person took this, again, this is this piece of fabric that he's using to plug up a hole or something like that. He then took it and either he hung it on a peg, on a wall, or he hung it behind a door. That's the issue, is, are you considering this thing important enough that it is mekabel tumah or not? Rashi here explains, b'magud degora mikufsa. That's less than a kufsa. It's less than putting it in a storage place. V'adif me'achorei hadelis. It's actually a little bit more chashiv than putting it behind the door. Ve'achorei hadelis adif mizarkul ashba. And of course, putting it behind the door is better than throwing it in the garbage. The Gemara in the previous Amud said that if everyone agrees if you threw it in the garbage, it's going to be not considered tameh at all. It's not chashiv at all. Umuchan de Rabbi Eliezer hainu kufsa. Now, when Rabbi Eliezer says something is muchan, that means you put it in a kufsa. V'shalom min hamuchan, and when Rabbi Eliezer says it's not muchan, it's something that's not set aside for use. Magud v'achorei hadelis. That's, he's talking about if you put it on the magud or behind the door. So now the Gemara continues to elaborate. Rabbi Eliezer says midelo zarku ba'ashba, from the fact that he did not put in the garbage. Daite lavi. That shows that he considers this thing important. Umay kari le shalom min hamuchan, and why does he refer to it as shalom min hamuchan? The lagabe kufsa lav muchan. If relative to putting it in the kufsa, this is not considered muchan, but all of these things that you do besides for putting it in the ashva, Rabbi Eliezer says is tameh. Rabbi Yoshua says, midelo hinichu b'kufsa, from the fact that he did not put it in the kufsa, bitule batle, that shows he's totally nullified it. Umay kari le muchan, why does he refer to it as muchan? De lagabe ashba muchanu. As far as the garbage, at least it's muchan, but in reality, Rabbi Yoshua says it's tar, it's no longer considered a useful vessel for you. For Rabbi Akiva, what does Rabbi Akiva say? He takes a middle approach. B'telo b'magud savar Rabbi Eliezer. When he puts it on the magud, that's already a little bit chashav. He holds like Rabbi Eliezer that it's tameh. B'hinichu achorei hadelis, but behind the door, savar lo Rabbi Yoshua. There he holds like Rabbi Yoshua that it's not chashav and it's considered tahor. However, the Gemara concludes, and this explains our mission of v'hader bei Rabbi Akiva lagabi de Rabbi Yoshua. In the end, Rabbi Akiva ends up agreeing with Rabbi Yoshua, and Rabbi Akiva says it's always tar. It doesn't matter if you put it achorei hadelis or on the magud, it's always tar. And that essentially is the machlokas Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Kiva in our Mishnah as well. When they talk about this piece of fabric which you folded over, whether it's tamei or tar, it's this exact case. The Gemara now says, Mimai, how do we know that this is the case? How do we know that this is the discussion between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yoshua? And further, how do we know that between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer? And further, how do we know that Rabbi Akiva ended up going like Rabbi Yoshua's opinion? So, Amar Rav Miniktani Psilas Habeged. Because what does it say in the Mishnah? It says it's the wick of the garment. So my area detani psilas habeged. Why does it say the wick of the garment? Listening psila shel beged. It should have said a wick that came from a garment. My psilas habeged. Why does it say psilas habeged? Da adayin begedhu. The idea is that it's still considered a garment, meaning Rabbi Akiva would say even in situations where you might say, oh, this is still considered a garment, it's still somewhat muchan, meaning it's either on the magud or achorei hadelis. In all those situations, Rabbi Akiva is going to say even when it's a psilas habeged, it is still tar. Rashi here explains that. Rashi says, "Miniktani b'masnisim psilas habeged demashma she'adayin beged huktzas." The implication is that this item is still a little bit of a beged. V'chashav beinav, it's sort of chashav. V'afilu achi kamer Rabbi Akiva b'masnisim tahori. And nevertheless, Rabbi Akiva says it's tahora, even though you've treated it with some chashivas al mahader be. You see that Rabbi Akiva ended up going like the opinion of Rabbi Yoshua, that in both cases it is considered tahor. Rashi continues to explain shel beged mashma shekipla mi beged. The word shel beged would mean that he took the wick from the beged. Ha beged mashma shekapal ha beged atzmo sholim. When you say ha beged, it sounds like the beged is sholim, and then you're just kafel the beged. It's still a beged. Now, according to this whole approach that they're arguing in Tumah in this kind of case of the Magud and the Hinichul Achorei Adelis, what are they arguing about in the Mishnah? They're also arguing about whether you can light this piece of fabric for Shabbos. So Rashi continues and says, according to this approach, you'll say that when it comes to lighting it, that's the same machlokas as we explained before. Rabbi Eliezer's reason is simply that you need the wick to have been singed a little so that it burns properly, and the machlokas by lighting it on Shabbos is not connected at all to the machlokas by Tumah. We now continue with the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Lo yikov adam shefoferes shel beitza. So a person should not take an eggshell and put a little hole in it, v'yimalena shemen, and then he'll fill it up with oil, v'yitnena al pihaner, and put that right above the candle, v'shvil shetehemen atefes, in order that it drips the oil into the candle. So, in other words, the Mishnah is saying, don't try to set up a contraption where the oil is dripping from the eggshell into your candle, and that's how it supplies the oil. And then it says, v'afilu hi shel cheres. Even if the candle is made from cheres, you still shouldn't do that. For Rabbi Yehuda mati. Rabbi Yehuda says it's okay. But if the person fashioned it in a way where he's attaching the eggshell to the candle itself, then it actually would be mutter, because it's all one kli. If it's two separate kalim, it's problematic. If it's one kli, it is okay. A similar case now, lo yimale adam ka'ara shel shemen. A person should not fill a plate with oil. V'yitnena b'tzad einer, put it next to a candle. V'yitein rosh hapsila b'soch, and then put the top of the wick inside of it. B'shvil shadei shoeves, in order that it should draw the oil. And once again, Rabbi Yehuda mati. Rabbi Yehuda says it is okay. We'll take a look at Rashi over here. Shetehemen atefes v'yiskayim haner shetei Hashem metaftev kol shel asoch haner. The idea is you want the candle to continue because the oil would consistently drip into the candle. So here Rashi explains what the reasoning is. The reason why this is problematic is because we're afraid you might actually supply yourself from the oil. Now, since you designated this for a candle, Rashi says that would actually be considered like extinguishing on Shabbos. Even if the shvoferes, I'm sorry, I said that the candle was from cheres. Even if the shvoferes, even if the thing that's dripping it is made out of cheres, so it's really disgusting. What are the chances that you're going to supply the oil to yourself from that? Still, we say that we make a gezerah in that case. Afilu hi shel cheres, it's a problem. And again, like we said, Rabbi Yehuda matir. And then the Mishnah continued, if it's all attached as one contraption, we're not really afraid you're going to stay away from it on Shabbos. We're not afraid you're going to supply oil for yourself. You have the second part of the wick, the end of the wick goes out through the hole, the other hole in the candle, in order to draw the oil. In other words, you have one part of the wick, the one end of the wick is burning, the other end of the wick is sticking into this plate in order to draw the oil, and again, that is the same issue. Tanakama says it's a problem, and Rav Yehuda says it is okay, it is mutter. So the Gemara now wants to know why we have the same case over and over again in the Mishnah, just different setups, but the same basic case. So the Gemara says, we need all the cases in the Mishnah. If I only had the case of the eggshell, in that case, the Rabbanan are strict because it's not disgusting, and then you're actually going to supply yourself with that oil. But when it's made out of cheres, which is disgusting, I would say that they admit to Rabbi Yehuda, and they say that you can be lenient because who's going to take oil from there? If I only had the case of cheres, maybe only over there Rabbi Yehuda is lenient. But in the other case, the Rabbanan would admit. But in the other case, he would admit to the Rabbanan. So therefore, we have to tell you both cases. And if I only had both of those cases, in those cases, Rabbi Yehuda is lenient because there's no separation. But when with the plate where there is a separation, we'll see Rashi, which explains it. I would say that Rabbi Yehuda admits to the Rabbanan in that case to be strict. If I only had that last case, I would say only over there the Rabbanan are strict. But in the first two cases, maybe they're lenient like Rabbi Yehuda, so we need all the cases. Rashi just explains what does this mean, mifsaka, the lo mifsak midi. In the case of the eggshell, it's not separated at all. It's placed, the eggshell is placed within the cavity of the candle, lamala mikiso, right above the cover. But in the other case, the mifsek ashare eitzel haner munachas. In the case of the plate, it's next to the candle. It's not like right above it. V'yesh kan hefsek. That's considered a hefsek. V'lek l'meimar gufeyu. So you're not going to say, oh, it's part of the same contraption. Ema moda de nigzer. So maybe over there you would be a little stricter. So we need all three scenarios in order to explain that in all of these cases there's a machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan. The Gemara now continues at the two dots. It says that if the person who's fashioning it attaches it, then it is fine. Tana, we learned in a brayse, if a person took some plaster and attached it, or some clay and attached it, that would be mutter. Now the problem here is it seems to be saying anyone can do it, not just somebody who's a professional. The Gemara asks, doesn't it say in our Mishnah that it has to be a yotzer? My yotzer ke'ein yotzer. So the Gemara says it doesn't have to be done by a professional. It just has to be the quality of the attachment has to be something comparable to what a professional would do. Gemara now continues at the two dots. Tanya, we learned in a brayse. Amar Rabbi Yehuda says, Pamachas shiftenu ba'aliyas beis nitze belud. One time we spent Shabbos in the aliyah in the attic of beis nitze in Lud. Veheviu lanu shifoferet shel beit. So they brought us an eggshell. Umilanu Hashem. We did exactly what it says in the Mishnah. We filled it with oil. V'nakvenua. We put a hole in it. V'nachnu al pianeh. We put it over the candle. V'haya sham Rabbi Tarfon u'zakenim. Rabbi Tarfon and the zakenim were there. V'lo amru lanu davar. They said nothing to us. Implication is we can be lenient in this case, like Rabbi Yehuda says. Amru lo. They said to him, Misham Raya. Do you, what really I should say, Rabbi Yehuda's bringing a proof to his own opinion. This is Rabbi Yehuda talking. So Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Tarfon said it's mutter, so you see a proof to my opinion that it's mutter. So they said to him, Misham Raya, is that really a proof? Shani Beis Nitze, it's different in Beis Nitze. There's reason in because they're very conscientious. We're not afraid they're going to supply themselves with the oil. The Gemara now says, Avin et Tzipora, Avin from Tzipori, Gorar Safsala Bilisa de Shisha. Similar type of story here. He was dragging a bench on a floor which was made out of marble. Le'elam Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar, and he did this in front of Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar. Amar Lei said, "Ishasuki loch kedeshasiku lech Avrayel Rabbi Yehuda." So Rabbi Yitzchak ben Elazar said to him, "If I am quiet, the way that the chevra was quiet when Rabbi Yehuda did what he did with the eggshell, nafik minei churba." He says it's going to be what's going to come out of this is going to be a big mistake. People are going to think that this is mutter what you did, that you dragged the bench along the floor. And he explains why it's a problem. Gezerah Elisa de Shisha atu Elisa de Alma. It's a problem dragging it on a marble floor, because what if you were going to drag it on a dirt floor, and then you have a problem of essentially plowing, making a ditch into this dirt. And even though you have no kavana, even though it's a davar she'eino miskavin, you really just want to move the bench. You're not interested in plowing, but nevertheless it's going to be usher, and that really follows the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda that davar she'eino miskavin is usher on Shabbos. The Gemara will elaborate here on that more. Reish Kanishta de Batzra, similar situation. The head of the shul in Batzra, Gara Safsala le'elam Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabba. He dragged the bench, and this was done in front of Rabbi Yirmiyah the elder. Amar Lei said, Kiman ka Rabbi Shimon. So Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabba said to him, "Who, you're following Rabbi Shimon? You think this is mutter?" Amor de Amar Rabbi Shimon begedolim. Rabbi Shimon was lenient when it's a heavy bench. There's no other option. Delo efsher, it's impossible to move it otherwise. Bekatan mi Amar, you think you'd be lenient by a small bench? So you can't be so lenient as you're being. Upliga de Ula, however, this argues with Ula, Damar Ula, because Ula said machlokas bekatanim. On the contrary, the whole machlokas is by a small bench. Aval begedolim divrei kol mutter. When it comes to a large bench, everybody agrees. Even Rabbi Yehuda agrees it was mutter. So it's a machlokas here where the machlokas is. Were they arguing by a large bench, or were they arguing by a small bench? Mesa Rav Yosef, so Rav Yosef asks from a brisa. It says Rabbi Shimon Omer. Rabbi Shimon says, "Gorer adam mita kisei v'safsel." It says Rabbi Shimon says that a person can drag a bed or a chair or a bench uvilvaj lo yiskaven lasos charz, as long as it's not having kavana. Again, the opinion of Rabbi Shimon that it is the davar she'eino miskaven is mutter. Now the thing is here it says mita kisei and safsel, seems to be large items and small items. Katani gedolim v'katani ketanim. Here it seems to be saying that Rabbi Shimon is lenient whether it's large, whether it's small, and sounds like the machlokas is whether it's large, whether it's small. Kasha l'travayo. Isn't that a question against all opinions that we've mentioned over here? That again, one opinion said the machlokas is only by large items, the other that it's only a machlokas by small items. Here it sounds like it's a machlokas by both. So the Gemara says, Ula mataris l'taimi, Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabba mataris l'taimi. The truth is that Ula can give an answer according to his approach, Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabba can give an answer according to his approach. Ula mataris l'taimi, Ula answers as follows. Mita dumya de kisei. The bed we're talking about is similar to a chair, and it's a small item, and therefore Rabbi Shimon essentially, according to this opinion, Rabbi Shimon, let's see Rashi over here, dumya de kisei, ketana, meaning small, uvahahu de asa Rabbi Yehuda. Over here, in the case of a small item, that's where Rabbi Shimon was lenient, and that's where Rabbi Yehuda was strict. Aval begedolim, when it would be a large item, shari, everybody would agree that it is mutter. That's going to be the answer according to Ula. And for Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabba Mitaras L'Taimei, Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabba will answer according to his reasoning. Kisei Dumya Demita, that we're really talking about a chair which is similar to a mita, meaning a large item, and the machlokas is specifically by large items. And again, by small items, everyone will agree that it's problematic. Everyone will agree that it's usher because you have another option. You can just carry it. Mesav Rabba asks on this whole discussion from the following: Mochre Ksus, it says that people who are selling clothing, Mochre Kedarkan, they can sell wearing the clothing even if they are shatnez clothing, even if they're made of kilayim, because they're not wearing it for the purpose of wearing it, they're wearing it to sell it. As long as they don't have kavana that they're wearing these clothing in the sun to prevent them from the sun, from being hurt by the sun, or in the rain to prevent them from being hurt by the rain, as long as they don't have kavana to wear it, their main kavana is selling it, it's not a problem. And when it comes to the tznuin, when the people who were extra strict, they actually wouldn't wear it. They would take a staff and they would put the clothing on a staff which they would hold. So over here the Gemara says, but over here, the evshalim yavik tznuin. Here it's possible to do like the tznuin. This is not a case of a large bench. It's not comparable to that. This is a case where there is an option. It's more similar to a small bench. What do you see? As long as you don't have kavana, Rabbi Shimon says it's mutter l'chatchila, meaning Rabbi Shimon seems to be saying mutter in the case of a small bench. That's where the machlokas is, and by large, everybody agrees that it should be mutter. So Tiyufta, the Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbah Tiyufta, the Gemara says this is indeed a refutation of Rabbi Yirmiyah Rabbah, and Rabbi Shimon essentially was lenient by Ketanim, and everybody would be lenient by Gedolim. The Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Hamechabe es haner, somebody who extinguishes a candle. Now we're talking about whether or not what you're doing is an isser of extinguishing on Shabbos. Let's say someone extinguishes a candle for the following reasons: Mibnei shu misyore, because he's afraid; Mibnei nachrim, because of nachrim; or Mibnei listim, because of robbers; Mibnei ruach ro, just a bad spirit gets to him; or Mibnei hachola sheyishan, or he wants that a sick person should be able to sleep. Potter. In those cases, it is potter. You're not chayev for extinguishing. This Rashi says will be explained in the Gemara. Kechas al aner, kechas al hashemen, kechas al apsila chayev. Now, if the person is doing it because he wants to, he doesn't want to lose the candle, or he doesn't want to lose the oil, he doesn't want to lose the wick, in that case he's chayev. Rabbi Yossi poter b'chulim. Rabbi Yossi says all these cases are poter as well. Chutz min apsila, except for the case where he's chas on the psila, mipnei shu osa pecham, because he's making out of this, he's making a pecham, he's making something that's easier to light with. Rashi here explains shu osa pecham, bekiboy zeh, through this kiboy, he's making a pecham, v'have melocha hatzricha legufa, and it becomes a melocha hatzricha legufa. Kedamar Gemara, the Gemara will explain. The Gemara will explain that this entire discussion is regarding the issue of melocha shein hatzricha legufa, and we'll see that discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Amud Aleph.